How the Boston Celtics plan to utilize Anfernee Simons after reportedly acquiring him from the Portland Trail Blazers remains to be seen. But for now, here's a review of what he showed during the 2024-25 season. There are a couple things in particular he does well and a lot of. The first of them is when he plays off the ball. Simons is very good at on-the-move and relocation shooting. Last year, he took the 13th most catch and shoot on the move and relocation three-pointers combined, and he made 40.5% of them, which was actually the 13th best mark among the 57 players who took at least 100 of them. Of the 17 players who took at least 150 of them, that was the third best percentage. Only OKC's Isaiah Joe and Golden State's Steph Curry had better marks among those players. For his career, Simons is shooting 41.5% on catch and shoot, relocation, and on the move threes. That's the fifth best mark among those with at least 500 attempts since 2018, which is when Simons was drafted. He doesn't need much time to get a shot off after relocating to a new spot on the perimeter, and then he has a quick release too. When he has the ball in his hands, often you'll see him create space with step backs. In fact, he took the 20th most step back jumpers this past season. Ironically, he also shot 40.5% on these attempts. Where he shoots them the best is right beyond the elbows. He shot 57.5% from these areas on 40 attempts. Among the 65 players who took at least 20 step backs from these areas, that mark ranked number 1. In general, he was a very good deep mid-range jump shooter last year. On two-pointers from at least 15 feet out, he shot 52.6% on 95 attempts. Among the 96 players who took at least 50 shots from this range, that was the 7th best mark. What's maybe most interesting about Simons, and not necessarily favorable, is that he has a tendency to take a lot of difficult shots, which lowers his shot quality rating. For example, Second Spectrum tracks a stat called QSQ, which stands for quantified shot quality, and is the effective field goal percentage based around the type of shots taken, where on the court the shots were taken, and how many defenders were nearby when the shots were launched. And in that category, Simons had the second lowest QSQ behind DeMar DeRozan last year. Along those lines, Simons settles for deeper shots a lot of times. Of the 47 players in 2024-25 who took at least 1,000 shots, he had the 6th furthest average shot distance at 18.3 feet. He struggled connecting on a lot of his floaters this past season. He took 122 of them and shot just 37.7%. That was the second worst mark among those who attempted at least 100 floaters. Only Utah's Keontae George had a worse mark. However, in 2023-24, this was a strength for Simons, as he shot 51.4% on 72 floaters. Another weakness of his is that he rarely draws shooting fouls. He averaged just 0.87 shooting fouls drawn per 100 possessions, which ranked toward the bottom among shot creators. Let's remember too that the Celtics ranked last in free throw attempts last season, so Simons certainly is not going to help in that department, even if they did change up their style a bit. Although he's not known for his facilitating, one thing that stood out was that his Portland teammates last year shot 43.1% from three-point distance when Simons delivered a spray-out pass from the paint. The Celtics took the second most spray-out from the paint threes last year and made 40.1% of them, which ranks 6th best in the league. On the other end, Simons is definitely a weaker defender, so it will be interesting to see how well Boston can hide him. The last 4 years, the Celtics have been a top 5 defensive team, largely because opponents struggle to find mismatches against them with all their versatile defenders and ability to switch a lot in pick and rolls. Opponents last year shot 50.4% when Simons was the closest defender, Among the 92 players who were the nearest defender to at least 700 shots, that was the 14th worst mark. Sometimes, as you see here, opponents will execute some pick and rolls where Simons is a screener defender, and then he gets caught up in an unfavorable switch. Most of the time, his initial defensive assignment is the opponent's weakest offensive player, or at least someone that isn't a primary shot creator. In 70 games in 2024-25, Simons averaged 19.3 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 4.8 assists. He shot 42.6% from the field overall, 36.3% from three-point range, and 90.2% from the foul line. So that will wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.